Hello and welcome to a United Kingdom build for MP MP slash somewhat SP. This is mainly more of an MP guide. So today we will be going over how to basically play this country. That means all the laws, all of the general staff, the designers, the generals, the admirals, the national focuses, and everything else. This is specific to my other guides. We will not be doing a specific focus order as they change way too much, depending on the situation and what you actually need to do. So, without further ado, what is a basic overview of the United Kingdom? Well, you are the leader of the Allies in the beginning of the game, and that probably won't ever change. So, what does this mean? This means that whenever you play MP, you're the one that has to tell every single other person in the Allies, British Raj, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and Canada, and France, and if anybody plays Norway or the Benelux or whatever, you are the one that tells them what to do. This means you have to have your head on a swivel and know what's going on. Because if you don't, the rest of the Allies will panic and everything will fall apart very quickly. So, now that you know that you are one of the most responsible people in your MP game, what do you actually do as UK? Well, it's very simple. You do two things very well. One, you build airplanes. You build airplanes. If you don't like being an air control nation, well, tough luck. This is the air control nation. So, you build airplane. You build all these airplane on your island, and you also can build them over here on your colonies because, you know, you're the one that gets all these little things you can build over here. So, you build airplanes, and you send them. You build all these airplanes, okay? So, everybody else, all of your miners, will build whatever you tell them to build. A usual example would be Canada, you will build tanks. South Africa, you will build tanks. Raj, you will build infantry and hold the line. Australia, you will build infantry or tanks. New Zealand, do whatever you want because you're a miner and don't have any manpower. Or they could build strat bombers for you, or they could build tank divisions for you, marine divisions, whatever you want them to do. And your primary job is to make sure they have green air over them. So, to do that, you build a stupid amount of planes. Okay? You can see we have 65 factories on here. Now, the reason we don't have any aluminum is because, well, it's the start of the game in March 20, 1936, so nobody's done excavation techs. We're still on civilian economy, and we're still on export focus. But, trust me, this is usually standard, is you just build a metric butt ton of planes, okay? And then you build some infantry gear, so that you could be the infantry meat wall for all of your other miners. So you will sit there and take the blows while they have all of the fun and get the tanks and do everything of the sort. So, now that we have gone over an overview of them, one last thing with these planes is you are the Lend-Lease nation. Okay? So, the USA will cover everything you don't. Okay? And what do I mean by that? The USA will Lend-Lease out trucks to whoever they want, mostly your allies. And they will cover all of the other gear. Your job is to cover fighters and maybe close air support, one other thing. And you will send all of these to the Soviet Union. And the Soviet Union will use all of these against Germany on the Eastern Front, while you keep some of your planes in reserve to gain air superiority over France and bleed them slowly. That is one way to do it. The other way is to replace this close air support with strategic bombers, if your MP allows it, and you bomb the oblivion out of Germany. But if that's not allowed, then you get gas. It's very simple. The last thing that the UK does very well is Navy. You start with the world's premier Navy. Right here, you can see it is a ridiculous amount of ships. This means that if you play it right and you don't throw it away in the Mediterranean against Italy, you will not be able to be invaded, no matter what. Germany can't build enough dockyards for you to counter without you seeing it and countering it, and Italy can't do that, and they can't even get out of the Mediterranean without taking Gibraltar, or Egypt, in which case you have failed. But they can't get out, so therefore you cannot get invaded. So therefore, you can dedicate all of your dockyards to ASW. to counter Germany or Italy. And if they don't do ASW, well, you could do what convoys or carriers or whatever there. That's the case. So now, before I go any further into production and little meme things and all that other stuff, we're going to go to a general overview of all of your stuff in the beginning of the game. So, you start out here. You start out at volunteer only. You have 15% war support. You can go to limited conscription. Cool. You start at export focus. Now, there's two things you can do here. In the beginning of the game, it is almost always worth it to go to free trade. However, in the later parts of the game, so 1940 and 41, if you make it that far, and 42 if you really make it that far, is to go to limited exports to save all of your materials. Lastly, is you start on civilian economy. You have really bad war support, so you cannot mobilize pretty much at all. You will be able to get early mobilization rather fast, but partial is going to be a real grind. Next is your ministers. You have some okay ones. Democratic you don't need. The silent workhorse is good. The war industrialist is one you need to take if you're going to be building military factories on your thing fast. Quartermaster is specifically for building radars and stuff in a specific way. Armament designer, if you know how to convert, you know how to convert. He's very useful there. But you don't have any other buffs. Like, you do not have the partial mobilization buff in the beginning of the game to really make this worth it, so I would just build civs. And you have the elusive gentleman. And the last one is you have this Alan Turing. Decryption power plus 15 is... I don't think I've actually ever used him, so I won't really be able to tell you because nobody really uses him. Decryption power plus 15 is not very good because this one radio tech is plus 25. But, if you wanted to, you could get it slightly faster if you burned a slot here, but most people don't. Most people stick with the silent workhorse, the war industrialist, and then they would either take an elusive gentleman to get more spies because you're the UK and that's what you do, or something else. Next, you have tank designer. You can see why the UK does not build tanks. You have one tank designer. Good luck. Next, ship designers. You're the UK. You actually have some good ones. You do not have a raider designer, unfortunately. This just means your ships are going to be pretty bad. You have the Pacific designer, so you can get your carriers to get more deck size. Good. You have the escort one, make ASWs very good. This is why you make ASWs. The Atlantic Fleet designer, if you want to build super heavies or something other than that, there it is. And the Coastal Fleet designer to make your ships cheaper, and then you refit them to any one of these. Good. Fighter designer, you have the Submariner, Cass, Medium, Heavy, and then Naval. So you pick fighter in the beginning to get your fighters out, and then you do Cass, or whatever you want here. You have very good options. Your material designer, you have the standard motorized infantry and artillery. Usually most people pick weapons because it applies to the most techs. Weapons applies to these techs. Artillery applies to these techs. So that's just whatever you want there. Industrial concern. Do not pick electrics, always pick industrial. Very simple reason. Your electronic tech is this and this. You have 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe 7. That's it. And then if you have these, if you even use them. Industry. All of this is covered in industry, except this little part right here. All of this is industry. 10% faster on industry is always worth it. Take it. Your theorists. You have actually decent theorists. If you want a meme, you have a rocket dude. If you want a meme, you have a nuclear dude. Otherwise, you have this land doctrine dude, and then you have the naval theorist dude. They're decent. They're not amazing. You have strategic destruction. If you can build strategic bombers, bomb Germany to oblivion. Other than that, you have your other ones, but these are okay. Now your military staff. This is where UK has some interesting ideas. You have this maneuver guy, 50% division speed. So if you build somehow light tanks or motorized or something, you have 15% faster divisions. Easy, good. Otherwise, most people take the offensive guy for 10% more attack. Very good. The defensive also is taken sometimes if you just really want to sit there and do nothing. Chief of the Navy. Naval maneuver. Plus 10% naval speed. Take it every single time. This is the best guy. All of these are worthless compared to him. Plus 10% naval speed means minus 10% chance to get hit. So there you go. Chief of the Air Force. Now, most people because these are both trash completely. He's a little bit more worth it because he actually gets you more XP, but he's completely worthless. Is the Night Ops. Basically, you take a negative 20 penalty on Night Ops. Very good. I almost always take him for the UK. You're one of the very few nations, if not the only one, that starts with a Night Ops guy. This basically reduces your penalty. And if you stack it with strategic bombers, and let's say you take strategic bombers and you go down this side, you can go down night bombing and get minus 50. And then you would have a grand total of minus 70 at night ops. Therefore, you can bomb Germany at night completely unharmed. Fantastic. Next is your military high command. You have the special forces guy. So if you build Marines or commandos or anything like that, take him, because plus 20% attack and plus 20% defense is not something to be scoffed at. Very good. You have subs, but you have your naval strike. It's okay. Amphibious speed's worthless. Bomber interception is worthless. Air superiority, taken because you are an air nation and you will be shooting planes down. Screens, taken if you have a really bad time with ASW. Otherwise, Infantry, pretty much always taken because of the defensive and the offensive increase on your infantry. Army regrouping, Army logistics, not bad choice, especially if you're fighting deep in Africa. Okay, so we want to go over admirals and generals. So, your admirals you have are very good. You're the United Kingdom, I would hope so. So, these officer corps roles, I have made a video on this. Go watch it. Otherwise, naval maneuver, very good. And you already have one of your naval maneuver guys in your chief of staff, okay? You're right here, okay? Otherwise, you can keep... otherwise, James Somerville is a good option to take for that. Now, James Somerville, we're just going to go from all these admirals and just tell you if they're good or not. James Somerville, decent pick. Has aviation enthusiast, superior protected position tactic, okay? You take concealment expert and you make him decently fighting. Andrew Cunningham, the better version of him. Now, he has bold, plus 10% speed, okay? Very good. Take concealment expert here, and you have one of the best admirals you can possibly get in the game in the start of the game. Bruiser Fraser. This naval lineage is actually a good thing. It's not a bad thing. This naval enthusiast, and this blockade runner. So, blockade runner means you can take mind laying. If you allow mind laying, you can have mind laying. Otherwise, concealment expert on him. He's okay. John Chovy, naval lineage, superior tactician, and gentleman. Again, just take concealment expert. There you go. He's okay. Henry Harwood, bad. Has minus 25% leader XP gain, but he has bold. So he kind of evens out. If you need a bold leader and you need a second bold leader, there you go. Brenner Lawlins is trash, has no traits. Charlie Forbes, he has gunnery and fly swatter. Now, fly swatter is very good because you can take cruiser captain and you can take search pattern expert. This one allows you plus 20% spotting speed. If you can get Charles Forbes spotter somehow by spotting stuff, you can get him a plus 30% spotting speed. And if you're on patrol, you can find ships stupid fast. Algerian Wills, or Aguilarian non-Wills, is a good spotter. Okay, he again can take all of these, as I've said, concealment, or you can take mind laying. And then Arthur Powers has no traits. Worthless. Okay. Now, on to your generals. So, your generals are somewhat okay. So, we're just going to start from the top. And then we'll get to these guys at the very end. So, a pro tip. Promote your guys, all of them, in peacetime, because they can all become field marshals. And then when they become field marshals, they get one more trait slot down here. Very good, and you're not doing anything anyway with it. So, Charles Arbrock, he has the trait right here for logistics. So there you go. He has inflexible strategist, which means he can take unyielding defender, and if you pair that up with defensive doctrine, you make him a very good holder, especially at a field marshal level. So make him do that. William Sims is trickster. Trickster is very good because you need one terrain trait from any of these to get improv expert, which means, hey, you can make makeshift bridges, which is the most OP stuff in the game. And you get 2 of these, you can take adaptable. Congratulations, you have like one of the best generals. Harold Alexander, minus 10% leader XP gain is trash. But he is level 4, so yeah, he's level 5 actually general, but has level 4 attack. Now Richie has inflexible general. You can use him as a field marshal with undying, unyielding defender and defensive doctrine. Alan Cunningham has no traits, so if you want to grind traits on somebody, the skill level does not matter. I will make a video on this sometime whenever. But he has no traits, which means he gets all of these traits super, super fast. So if you know how to grind, these 2 are the ones to do it with. Next is John Veckers. He's cautious and politically connected, so he's trash. Henry Wilson, he's old guard and politically connected, so he just doesn't learn anything. It's 10 out of 10. Jock Campbell is armor officer. Again, this trick doesn't matter, so you can stack him with as many traits as possible and grind on him. Oliver Leslie, again, he has minus 10% leader political gain and harsh leader, so the attack is actually good on him, but he has politically connected, which is leader XP is minus 10%, so not very good. Miles Dumpsey, he is a brilliant strategist, maybe one of the best guys if you want to get offensive doctrine and aggressive assaulter. So yeah, there you go. This guy, Archie, I'm going to call him Archie, career officer, decent. Again, has no traits, so but he does have the military high command, so he can't take another one, which is kind of bad. William Platt has no traits. Again, use him if you wanted to grind. Career officer down here, George, again, no traits. You can grind him if you want. Inflexible on William Gott, and you can take unyielding defender and defensive doctrine if you wish. Brian Horrocks, again, he has technically no quote-unquote traits, so you can grind with him or not. He's not very good at it. Old Guard, trash. Thomas, Arthur Percival, he's the one that lost all Malaya, trash. Henry Power, he has Trickster, can get improv expert, so he's very good if you want to grind. Jackie, Old Guard, trash. Milton, he has, if you promote him, you can give him paratroopers and gives him the gliding ability, which makes him very good at paratrooping. From the beginning of the game. There you go. Thomas More, the guy with Jungle Rat. You get him one more trait, he gets adaptable. You get him a Trickster, you can take improv, and there you go, you're gaming. Last two are these Field Marshals. Alan Book is not very good. He's trash because he's not inflexible, so he can't take Unyielding Defender, and he has Defensive Doctrine. And he has no other traits. He's not very good. Montgomery has Inflexible and Cautious and Media Personality, but he has two very important traits. He has Organizer and Logistics Wizard. And you don't have anybody that has Logistics Wizard in the beginning of the game because you don't have anybody with Organizer. So, in the beginning of the game, when you're in Africa and you want to fight people, you can have him with Logistics Wizard and Offensive and something else. There you go. Monty. Okay, now on to other things. So, we have gone over all of the laws of government for the UK. Now we're going to go over to some other things here in this tab, like occupied territories. So, in the beginning of the game, you own pretty much all of the world because the sun never sets on the British Empire. So, therefore, you will put this, it will start on civilian oversight, like this. You will immediately come into this tab and press local autonomy. Now, this will increase the compliance gain in all of your states by a significant amount. Do not underestimate this. This is a significant amount. Now, this will increase all their compliances. What happens when you get to full compliance? It's very simple. If we take a look at, for example, right here, the Cooperative Republic of blah, 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 blah. Basically, what's going to happen here is, so Guyana is here. You can see that right now, we get 88% of the resources. Now, you will see that this new regime, we have all this volunteer program, reorganized workforce, local police, and informants, okay? So, you will see that this will usually get to 105% of the resources, if I'm not mistaken. If you get to 100% compliance, you get 100%, more or less. So this is why you get this to 100%. The fastest way to do this is to go to get local autonomy. That's just something you do. You're a democratic nation, you get local autonomy, you use it. It's game-bustingly broken. One last thing here is you can use Cavalry Brigade if you want to make it more cost-efficient on your suppression. The only reason the Colonial Brigade is because it's bigger. Otherwise, Cavalry, you would have to get rid of this recon detachment because you'd be burning support equipment that you don't need to burn. But that's a separate video. Just remember, local autonomy. Next, manage subjects. This screen allows you to see, hey, who have I not given my orders to in an MP game? All these people, I'm going to go down this list, except British Malaya. You're like, oh, yeah, they're not a Persian. Okay. Yeah, so this is just a way to check on them and see what they are doing. And see what status they are. Next, if we look at other options, you do not start with a spy agency. You will build a spy agency because you are a spy master. You will press this button whenever you get 3 of these upgrades. After that, you will begin spying on Germany and Italy. Okay? You are the spy master for the entire allies. Now, you will spy on them, and once they have been spied on sufficiently good enough, you will then spy on Japan. Very simple, very good. In the beginning of the game, almost always, every single time, you take interrogation techniques so that if they send a spy on you, you can capture them. If not, do whatever. And then it's suicide pills after that. Or you can do localized trading centers in the beginning of all of this and recruit one from Germany and basically have him very hard to get spotted. That's what I do. Other people do interrogation techniques and suicide pills. It's up to you, but otherwise you're going to take a lot of these techs and you're going to get as many spies as you possibly can, and you're going to spy on Germany for the Allies. Congratulations. Next is your tech. We're not going to get very deep into this tech thing, but all you really need to remember is do your industry techs, do your excavations, do some of these fuel refinings. You don't need these. You have rubber and oil, and if you lose them, well, you lost the game. I take dispersed. I have stated my reasons. And then you do flexible line, like I have stated, my reasons. Last thing here, this radar tech is actually something you need to go down. 1, for ASW for this. 2, for these radar stations, because these radar stations will allow you to see into France. If I now demonstrate, I will be able to see into France if I have a stupid amounts of radar. If we let the days go by, you will be able to see that I will be able to see them eventually, but we'll come back to that in a minute. So, you basically get this radar tech in your technologies tab. Other than that, you can get these gunfire directors, and then you can get this nuclear stuff. But other than that, we're not going to go really over this. Other things you really need to focus on is your DDs for your ASW warfare. Try to get the 40s and the depth charge. And then lastly is these carriers, okay? You're going to need these carriers for a reason we'll get to in a minute. But otherwise, your main focus is these fighters, close air support, and some of these other things, and scout planes. Now, if we go to diplomacy, doesn't matter. Yeah, pretty much. Trade. Your trade tab, you need to make sure that you are trading with your subjects. Or if it is the beginning of the game and your Soviets are screaming at you, this is what you do. This is something called Civ Boosting. So, let's say the Soviets are dying or they need your help in the beginning of the game because they don't have any factories. Whatever resources you are insufficient in, you will do this. You will press this like this. You will take as many resources from the Soviets as possible. Okay? This will give them 9 factories that they can use to build. Okay? Because you are trading with them. This is what you do in MP. And sometimes, if you really want a game, you give them all their factories eventually. Okay? And it doesn't matter because they're the ones that are going to win the war. So congratulations, you have just won the game by giving them a whole bunch of civs. That's a boring way to play, but hey, it is what is usually done. Next, your construction tab. You don't have very many build slots here, not the USA. So one thing to remember is that when you're building your civs, your dockyards, or your mills, or whatever you're building here, make sure that you also go around and you build them over here in your little colonies, because you have a lot of more build slots over here, and they're basically invulnerable from attack, basically. You have all of this stuff that you can build them in. Otherwise, you can start building in these African colonies of yours, or you can start building out here. Just remember that they exist. Lastly is your recruit and deploy tab. Basically, you're just going to be making infantry, guys, and you're just going to be making them to hold your ports and let your miners do everything else. Lastly, we're now going to go on to your production tab. Okay, bear with me. This is usually your standard production tab. I say usually, but you can play around with this, obviously. You're a major. You do whatever you want. But basically, 10 on rifles, 4 artillery, 3 support equipment, 3 motorized, and 2 trains. Because choo-choo trains. Because maybe you send these to the Soviets. Or whatever you want to do. But yes, this is your standard setup. You're just building infantry. You don't need to do anything fancy here. You don't need, like, motorized vehicles. Not really. You're an infantry guy. Next is you're going to see your fighters are at 65. Trust me, you can easily get these resources up there. Next is close support. And then we go to naval bombers. Now, the reason we're building naval bombers is very simple. If the sub rating gets very bad, and by very bad, I mean very, very, very bad, you can move your naval bombers, pretend these are naval bombers, and you will start flying out on these western approaches. If they get super bad, you could start building and taking over all of these things over here, right? Or ask Denmark to build airfields up there. And then you can build an airfield here. Okay? And then you can build an airfield here. Now you will see that we will be able to cover most of this gap with naval bombers. And if you, fun fact, take this and you press this button right here, congratulations! Your convoys will divert. A very easy way to see this is the Bay of Biscay. Boop. And they have diverted. Congratulations. You have now saved everybody from dying. As you can clearly see, the convoy route is this. And you can cover most of this with aircraft. Congratulations. Next, naval carrier bombers. They are used on your ASW carriers or your carriers because basically you will use these with some destroyers. And you will go, so I don't know, set up like this. You will then go on patrol. You will then put it on always engage. And you will find the subs and you will kill them. Very easy. Next are the scout planes. So, scout planes are very useful in a variety of situations. Pretend that these are scout planes. You will press the aerial recon order, this one. And you will be able to spot easier targets out here in the Atlantic. This is very good for ASW. However, that is not their only purpose. In the beginning of the game, if you get these planes out, you can press that order, aerial recon, and you can fly over Germany and get very high intel on them. This is what you do with these scout planes. Next, as this is more ASW stuff down here, if you build radar, okay, like this, you can see that there is some coverage on these sea zones. So, if you build one in Northern Ireland and you build one right here, so if we hypothetically did that, you could see that our radar coverage is basically almost the entire lay of the convoy. Last thing you can do is build them in Greenland and Iceland and take them over from Denmark, or have them build it, either one. And then you'll be able to cover the whole Atlantic convoy route with radar, which will help you spot enemy subs. This is how you kill enemy subs and not die. Please don't die. Lastly, we're going to go over the ASW. This is the standard setup. I only have 42 dockyards because I'm only supposed to build ASW fleet. The United States is going to be the one that actually builds a fleet to go fight Japan and win. Okay? You don't do that. You build ASW. So, for your ASW, they look like this. 3 depth charges, 1 pop gun. For your fire control slot here, you can have your sonar, which is what you do. Put your radar. You don't put torpedoes. You give it the most powerful engine, and you give it the screen designer. Right there. Right there. And then you pump these out like a madman to cover your carriers. Very simple. Next are your carriers. ASW carriers. This one's a very expensive ASW carrier. And the reason is because it has basically a lot of AA guns. So, more or less, an ASW carrier needs one thing. It needs this hangar right here and gives you 25 dockyards up. 25 deck space if you have this designer right here for the deck size. If not, you only get 20 then. But this is a very cheap carrier, okay? You can, if you only want these carriers to do one thing very well, you can build this, cut the production cost down. You need this radar, you need the engine. That's it. If you wanted to survive aerial contact, let's say they have somehow get planes out, or you're using this in the Pacific to fight, I don't know, Japanese subs. You're going to want these dual-purpose guns right here, and then you're going to want AA guns, okay? This will give it an AA of almost 15, which is very good because, you know, planes attack carriers all the time, and ignore pretty much everything else. So, there you go. That's what you build. Next, we're going to go look at this Officer Corps tab. Just these little buttons right here. I have already gone over the high command stuff. So, you're gone over the Chief of Armies. So, basically, your high commands. What doctrine should you take? Completely depends on what you want to do here. Usually, you can either take Grand Battle Plan and go down Infiltration or Assault. If you want to sit there and do nothing, you can take Superior Firepower if you want to micro something and give your divisions a little bit more. And then you go Integrated and then Shock and All or Air Battle or Land Battle, either one. Don't do Mobile Warfare because, you know, you don't have any tanks. And you don't need to mass assault, but hey, you can do what you want there. Your naval doctrine is very simple. you're not going to be building a battle fleet. So therefore, you don't need trade interdiction. Therefore, if you're building ASW convoy escorts, fleet and being is the best doctrine. Congratulations. And then it is also it's decent at battle doctrine, but it gets beat by trade doctrine and base strike. Yeah, you don't use it anyway. Air doctrine. Now, almost always go down battlefield support. This is trash. And if strats are allowed, you can go down strategic command, and then you can go down to the night button, and then you can decide this right for this night bombing, and then you can get this stuff, and you can bomb Germany to oblivion. That is what you can do. That is what I suggest you do. But if you can't, battlefield support. And the spirits, the only thing you really need to focus on is if you're going down land battle, is this logistical stuff is very good. Relief command right here is something that is missed sometimes. Now, basically what this does, and I will take it for you. For democratic nations, what this allows you to do is choose your high command for 50% off. It is very, very useful. Okay, do not skip out on this. It's very useful for democratic nations. It's like one of the only buffs you have against anybody. You can see that your advisors here are very cheap. Okay, your army ones at least. Now, theater training for terrain traits is very good if you're sticking with Grand Battle Plan, but do what you want there. Next, Spirit of the Academy. Very simple. What we're going to do here is you can pick whatever here because it doesn't really matter. But usually most people take the attack option. Next, in the beginning of the game, people take the integrated designers. This is very important. This ship module speed upgrade, I'm going to show you it. It is talking about literally everything, and hopefully I don't have my research on. So, you can see that integrated designers, right there, it gives a 20% boost to the carriers. It gives a 20% boost to, well, it gives a 40% boost here, to torpedo launchers. And you can see it does the same thing for guns, okay? It gives a 20% boost to your research speed on everything. This is why it is taken, and I don't think they're ever going to fix it because it's hilarious. Next thing here is flexible contracts, okay? What this allows you to do is take this designer for 30 political power. Use this to your advantage. The last thing you need to understand here is this naval refitting yard. This refit speed is going to be paired very well with the UK because you can refit your big fleet that you have very fast. With this stacked, and you have this extend repair yards thing, which gives you another refit speed. Okay? So if you want to refit very fast, you take that. The last thing here, night fighting. Take night fighting, -5 visibility, and the attack at night for your ASWs is very good. Everything else doesn't really matter. Next for your air forces. Now, this right here, Air Industrial Liaison, does the same thing that this industrial and integrated designers does. If we go look at our air tab, you can see that it applies a 15% boost to all of our aircraft. Very good. I don't know why they haven't fixed this, but hey, they ain't gonna do it. So, this gives you 50% boost to your research speed on everything. After you have researched your stuff, there is some of these you can take. The Air Advisor cost gets you this Air Advisor for very cheap. This Air Experience gain would be very nice. Air Doctrine right here for -15 is also very good. Again, it just depends on the situation, but remember, Industrial Liaison first, then probably Aircrew Surveys to get your Doctrine speed research off by 50%. Next is the Spirit of the Air Force Command. You get CAG Night Fighting. You're the only nation that does. Use this to your advantage in whatever situation you want. Ground efficiency, escort efficiency, and ground targeting factor. If you have close air support, very good. Air wing experience lost, meh. This fighter detection and air mission efficiency is the one everybody takes. I have heard that both of these do nothing, and I believe it because there's nothing on the patch notes of them. They probably do nothing, and they do nothing. Centralized fighter control gives you air mission efficiency. It's very good. You can see it's up here somewhere probably. But basically your air mission efficiency goes up, which is basically your mission efficiency for all of your planes. So there you go. Okay, we have covered everything so far. We have covered the officers tab. We have covered the recruit and deploy. We've covered production. We've covered construction. We've covered diplomacy, all of this fun stuff, okay? Very good. We have done all of the major overview. Now, we're going to take out one important thing because it's going to be your screen most of the time. It's going to be this screen. You go to the Soviet Union, but we're not at war currently, so we can't lend-lease them. But Canada is an example here. You will press this lend-lease button, and then you will select your fighters. And then you will select a fighter, and you will say, I will give you 1,000 units a month, or percentage, or monthly, or whatever you want. And that's how you play the game. Congratulations, you are playing MP Hoy. Fantastic. Most of the time, in the beginning of the game, when the Soviets get attacked in Barbarossa, they're going to ask you to send convoys. You're going to send them a lot of convoys. After you send them the first wave of convoys, they will then say, hey, send all of us your planes and your equipment. Then you will start sending planes. Do it in this order. It is very important that you send your convoys first and then your planes. Next, if you want to do fuel, do not do percentages. It takes way too many convoys. Do not do daily. It takes way too many convoys. What almost every single person does is they say, tell me how much your fuel deficit is and how much you need. We as the UK, because we have no fuel silos, need 300k. So, what does the USA do? They type in 300,000 and they press send. The Soviet Union will get a massive boost in fuel. And then it'll go down again. And the USA repeats this process over and over again. That is how you do lend-lease in MP games. Congratulations. You now know how to do MP stuff. Okay. Final thing. National focuses. We're going over the national focuses. I'm not going to go in how you should build your specific national focuses. But the only thing I will say here is every single time in every single game, I always do the following. Limited rearmament. I get Shadow Scheme because somebody does something like Rhineland first. Industrial effort, extra research slot. This research slot gives you 5. Now, you get the extra research slot here for 5 because having it earlier means you get more research done earlier, and I don't know why people don't do this, but the faster you get this research slot, the faster you can catch up on tech, which means you're not going to be behind as much. This is not speed. This is speed right here. This is a whole slot. So you get an additional slot of something you can research. Again, limited rearmament, shadow scheme, industrial effort, extra research. After that, it's highly dependent on the situation. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about all of these national focuses and when you should take them. Kind of. But first, we're going to look at our stuff right here. We have Edward in the beginning. Minus weekly stability. He goes away. You have this war to end all wars. Minus 30% recruitable population. This can be fixed. British Stoicism. Ideological drift. Does nothing. Because it's not allowed. You can't ideologically drift people anyway, and it's fine. And you have this naval Tory signatory. Watch my video on how to get around this. Otherwise, you remember. The last thing before we get into this massive national focus stuff is these naval treaties. It's going to depend on what you need to do here. But you in the USA are one of 2 people that get these research boosts from Germany and Italy. This is a 10% research boost. This is a significant amount of stuff. Almost always take this. Improve working conditions, gets you stability, and you have your stuff down here for development. And literally never press this button. Ever. I cannot think of a single reason to do that. Don't press those buttons. Okay. Now that we have done that, we're going to go. National focuses, as promised. So, left to right. You need to take... This is the chronological bomb. This gets you a 10% research speed for 70 days on decryption. It's not very good. But it leads to the Tizard mission. And the Tizard mission gets you radar and, if I'm not mistaken, rockets and nuclear stuff. And the USA joins you. And they join you in a Commonwealth research kind of thing like this. Except it's the USA and you only, and it only is radar and nuclear and rockets, if I'm not mistaken. So, if you want to meme with nukes and stuff, take it. Next is the Mud Conference. It gives you 1 nuclear technology. So, there you go. Yep, nukes faster. Secret weapons down here. Again, gets you nukes faster. And the meme research. It's not practical in any game, but if you want to meme, there it is. Next, we're running over limited rearmament. We're going in this order. This is one of the first things you do because it gives you civs. Next, you see this air defense. This is a 70-day focus to give you max AA. It's an okay focus if you're getting bombed, or before you're bombing. Let's say you know you don't have enough fighters, then yeah, it's good. There's radar tech. If you can get it early enough and you want to burn your radar, it's very good. Otherwise, meh. Next is Shadow Scheme. It grants you 4 bill slots and 4 military factories. In total, 2 states when entering war. Okay, focus. The main reason is a Civ 2 military conversion cost, but meh. Next, Industrial Effort gives you +2 research for your industrial. You burn these on your oil techs, and then you get this extra research slot. Very good. Royal Ordnance Factories is very good. Having 6 additional military factories in the beginning is very good. Next is the BSA Company. You get infantry equipment -10%. Very good. Next, Motorized and Royal Tank Regiment. Basically, nobody takes these. Why? Because it's 140 days of focuses for what? A truck and an armor research. And you're not building them anyway, so you don't need them. Next is General Rearmament. You get this British Austerity, -5% consumer goods. Taken. Pretty much always good. Next is Air Rearmament. Gives you air bases. You build air bases here, okay? Very good, because the USA is coming over, and you want all of these at max 10, so you can either bomb or do whatever for Germany and France. Next is Bomber Command. If you're allowed strategic bombers, take it. Next is Coastal Command. If you need more naval bomber stuff, take it. Next is Fighter Command. Take it immediately, because you need to get your Fighter 2s and your Fighter 3s, okay, in the beginning to make sure you don't die. Next is Air Protection Group. This is why you do aircraft for everybody, because you get this -10. And then you take all this focus out here and get -20. Oh. Next is Jet Aircraft. This is just a meme. I'm not actually really taking much because it's just a meme. It gives you jet techs. But the problem is, it specifically says jet techs. So, what does that mean? It only applies here. It doesn't apply to any of these. It's fantastic. Love Paradox. Next is the Special Air Service. Basically, this gets you a Special Forces capacity multiplier of +5. That basically makes this number right here go to 10% instead of 5%. And if you stack this with, here it is, Expanded Special Forces Program, you get another 5%, which gets you 15% Special Forces cap. Very good. And then you take Mr. Davis Sterling right here, and you get +20% attack. Special Forces, very good. Chief of Staff Committee. This gets you planning bonuses. Meh. However, it does give you command power increase. So, if you don't know how to abuse that system, then yeah, it's good. Otherwise, we're going naval rearmament now. This gets you dockyards at 50 naval XP. You're not going to run out of naval XP because you have oil, and you have this massive fleet. So yeah. Amphibious warfare for Marines and transport tech. So transport tech one is worth it. The Marine tech is meh. The transport tech ones give you 100% research boost on these specific techs right here, and these techs take forever to get. Okay, so that one's actually kind of worth it. Next is these destroyer focuses and this convoy. So basically, these destroyer focuses get you destroyers faster for ASW. ASW warfare gets you the ASW stuff faster, and you get 2-year penalty off of it. The convoy escort thing gives you minus destroyer costs, and you have the anti-sub stuff gives you combat training and XP gain. This is why you take ASW. Very good text here. Or focuses, I should say. Here we go. If we do down here, this is just a meme. Basically, naval mine sweeping text and mine laying, most of the time you can't even do it in the MP game. And when you can do it, I don't think I've actually ever researched any of these. It's just not worth it. And these are one. I know for a fact there's no game in which you're going to play in which mine laying subs are a thing. So there you go. They don't exist. They don't exist. So it's just talking about these texts up here. And yes, they are somehow decent, but you only have 5 research slots, and I'm not burning in on mine laying stuff. So there you go. Robritannia. So basically, 3%. You get 50% off 3 naval doctrines. Very good. Take carrier focus, forget ASW carriers, and you get the expanded shipyards right here to get refit all of your stuff fast. The Vanguard right here is just a meme. You don't ever take it because you have to be after 1944, so the game's already over. But hey, it's there. Secure Imperial shipping routes. This gets you percentage off cruisers. This is situationally useful if you're going to build cruisers. Again, you're a major. You can do whatever you want. But this is a stuff to get you off of that. Next, we're going to go over here, and we're going to go over some of this. And what I mean by that is, this doesn't exist in MP games. So you do reinforce the empire, service overseas, encourage colonial elite, okay? Now, you stop, okay? You stop. You do not take any of these techs or focuses. They are worthless. MP games, they are completely worthless. There might be a case to sanction Japan if you can get it early enough, but nobody does that. You stop there and you ignore this whole freaking line down here. Now, this Commonwealth ties. Some UKs like to help their allies. If you go down here and you develop the Raj, right? And what mainly people take down here is a Commonwealth ties, and you get this British Commonwealth Air Training Plan. This boosts your planes. This is what everybody takes because you're an air nation and you build planes. And having this helps you significantly. Now, people do this, take this, stop. Or they take this and they be very nice to their miners and develop them. Okay, with all of this stuff. This doesn't matter, and this doesn't matter for MP games. Don't even matter. But these might. However, they're a significant time investment. And most of the time, this will be done later, not earlier. This will be done after 40. We'll be doing these. So, remember, this one is the important one. So, reinforce empire, service overseas, encourage colonial elite, Commonwealth ties, air training plan. Very good. This whole thing down here does not exist in MP. It does not exist. All of these focuses are trash. They take way too long for what you get out of it. Not a single one of these is taken. Cool. This whole line down here doesn't exist in MP. You're not allowed to take it, so therefore it doesn't matter. Next, this whole change in course thing does not exist in MP. Does not matter. Next, global defense in MP does not matter. So all of these texts right here, all of this secure, all of this does not exist. So, steady as she goes gives you stability and democratic support for 365 days. You take this one. You take home defense for 5% more war support, which means you can get to early mobilization. This right here, Scandinavian intervention, does not exist in MP. Prepare for the inevitable gets you factory output and factory construction speed on your military factories. Very useful type to take, especially when you start switching over to mills. The Benelux, this does not exist in MP. Then you take these 4 things down here, okay? Issue Gas Mass Military Training Act embargo, and then this one doesn't matter because Germany is the one declaring war on you. So this is 3. So 1 focus right here, 2 focuses, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you stop. This whole thing stops over here. Then you go here, take reinforced service, encourage colonial elite, Commonwealth ties, air Commonwealth plan, stop. Then you go over here, you can do all your focuses. Or you can do mixed match of whatever. But just remember the focuses I told you, you just don't take because they don't exist in MP. They don't exist, and they're just trash. Okay. We have now gone over all of the focuses. So, if you found this guide helpful, there's another video in front of you that points you to another guide. Otherwise, leave your questions in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you later, people.